education side to our clients is as a trusted cannabis source is that we've done our research. So I can talk to that client about, hey, this is not necessarily a product that's just going to go get you stoned or high or whatever. We're talking about therapeutic minimums to help you get the relief that you're looking for. I'm a big believer in microdosing. We do recommend that quite a bit a lot to people, but coming back to just products, again, we ask for the COA up front, first and foremost. A lot of clients don't have full panel, unfortunately, but again, I think that industry is evolving. People are asking for that. We want to know the terpene profile. We want to make sure that there's, no mold or anything growing in it, and I think Jesse, can adapt to that there's more people asking for the more full panel. So to me, that's just the standard that we have first and foremost. So.
And she's speaking about full panel in these testing, and I know a lot of you might not be aware of what those exactly are. So Jesse, could you touch on full panel testing for flower and then also retail products?
Yeah, that's a great point. So typically for flower, full panels are intended to add value to your crop and verify and vet all the hard work you've done all season. So you get an updated potency, and you'll also get your heavy metals, pesticide, microbial, and mycotoxin test. And that is, again, included to add value and separate you from another farmer that just got potency. And you don't want to buy any more full panels than you need, because they can be up to $490, $500. Yeah, that can be spending. So a lot of the times it's dictated by your buyer and when they want to see that full panel, because microbial and mycotoxins can continue to develop in your flower material in storage. So a 3-month-old COA might have some questions. You might have your full panel, but might have to go back and run a quick microbial just to make sure mycotoxins or something else that's very, very dangerous isn't continuing to develop in storage. And for the retail product, there's also a residual solvents test that's very important that can be used during the extraction process where different solvents are introduced, and it verifies that all those are filtered out and don't end up in your retail product. And we verify and sample all those too. And again, it's there to add value for your product and provide safety and true analytics for what we're ingesting, whether it's us or our sweet dogs that we buy treats for.
Jesse, I want to add just one thing. So he's absolutely correct, but that's the full panel is something we look for when we're bringing it into our facility, because we can't have mold or any kind of residue or pesticides in the material coming to our facility, because it could infiltrate and get into other material that we have in quarantine in our facility. So it really is a must. Even though it's a little costly, you have to do it.
And if it does set you up to command a premium price because it sets you apart from another grower, you're going to get that back out of it very, very quickly. And that's, again, what it's intended to do, to add value and separate yourself in those crops. And just like Aaron said, a terpene profile doesn't necessarily deem your crop safe or unsafe, but it identifies smell and taste notes that go into the consumer experience and really has an entourage effect of medicinal benefits that a lot of people believe in, and they're absolutely effective.
So Aaron, as a farmer, and you're talking about testing, what are some things that you do at Haus that may be different than other farmers in your testing practices?
Okay, so me personally, I focus on boutique genetics. One of the things I'm focused on is the varins, CBDV, THCV, CBCV. So because I'm working with a rare genetic, what I want to know when I'm growing my plants is, how is this genetic developing? When and where am I reaching my peak potency of said varins? Not only that, which one of these plants, these three I'm looking at, has more to offer than the other? I'm also looking at my terpenes. I've got a terpene profile, okay, that's cool, but at what point are my terpenes peaking? At what point are they going down? And which one of these three varieties is offering more than the other? So what I do is I identify 3 plants of each genetic, and I decide I'm gonna trace these 3 plants through the whole process. So if I'm looking at my females, I'm going into flower and I'm like, oh man, I have these 3 awesome phenotypes over here, I'm gonna label them A, B, and C. And then these ones over here are 1, 2, and 3. I start testing on day 30. So on day 30, I'm gonna do a full-on potency test and a terpene analytic. Then I'm gonna do it again on day 35, then on day 40, then on day 45, then on day 50, and then I'm harvesting usually right in there, and then I'm gonna do at harvest, and then I'm gonna do after harvest. Not everybody does that, but the biggest investment you can make into your genetics is tracking and tracing the development. So the thing I learned last year with my genetics is that my cannabinoids are ever going up. My terpenes are going up, but somewhere around day 45, they're peaking. Now they're actually going back down again while my cannabinoids are going up. So because I can trace that, I'm like, okay, do I want to extract terpenes on this? Because if so, I might want to harvest a little early. You know, am I trying to maximize the CBDV? Because if so, I may want to let it go a little later. Not only that, out of these two genetics, which plant is the one that I want the most? Oh, that one. Okay, so I took some clones of that one a month ago. Now I'm going to go back and look at those clones and go, you're the one, I'm going to make you next. So what I do is I set up ahead of time a schedule for testing and analytics, and that's a big investment that I make in my genetics, and I don't know if everybody does that, but you can learn a lot when you do that.
Well, I think that we've made some really good points, so I'm going to kind of shift it a little bit. You know, everybody's been talking about this Delta-8 ban and minor cannabinoids and things that have been happening, which has been completely and very unfortunate, because I can tell you right now that these individuals that are sitting here on this stage were in the Capitol with me at every hearing, in the meetings, and I will say that we truly led the grassroots effort with the help of a lot of other individuals of ensuring that there was not a ban in a bill. Unfortunately, the bill didn't pass, but that had wonderful things in there, such dealing with transport manifest, doing a cleanup bill. So I just want to talk about how, for, you know, all of you, for Bayou, for Haus of Jayne and New Bloom, how has this Delta-8 ban, how has this impacted your business? And how do you see it moving forward if something like that does happen? Do you think that you'll be able to survive? Will you be able to pivot?
Yeah, it's been a challenge as far as just how to handle regulations. As Alyssa said, we spent a lot of time during session making sure, really, and this all comes back to Delta-8, but the reality is we want to be able to process, manufacture, and really learn about the entire cannabis plant. And so that's what this really comes back to, is just having an open method to be able to do that and not have restrictions. It's been a challenge as far as pivoting on Delta-8, and we proceeded with caution on that one, and but we're working on a lot of other minor cannabinoids at the facility, and you know it's something that's we're working with every day. But you put a lot of infrastructure and time into a product, and then you have to pivot very quickly.
Our journey has been pretty interesting this year. We were kind of hesitant on selling Delta-8, just semi-synthetic, or how exactly, you know, everybody kind of explains it a different way. But again, once we got COAs and found out good processors, we decided to carry it in store, and since April, it literally quadrupled our business. It was unbelievable. So I think everybody kind of likes to get a little high, and they really felt relief in many aspects, from pain, from sleeping. I had a client that had a double mastectomy with neuropathy pain, and she was taking DA and was getting off the other medications. And to me, that's everything. Everybody hates polypharmacy and the side effects that they get. So here we have this natural plant that is changing people's quality of life, you know, and that's what we're doing this for. But we need safe and effective, you know, and regulated plant medicine. And so the DA kind of, with the legalities of that, has been interesting. But I will say, you know, as you'll see around here and try and taste around here, that there's this new D9 that is coming in to swoop in under D8. And so to me, it's just a balance of, again, educating our clients. Okay, so D8 is about 2/3 less the strength of D9. And so what does that mean? They need to take less. And so again, we're just trying to pivot and, you know, change our mindsets to help our client change their mindsets, because especially with edibles, you know, if you're taking too much and it hits hard, it sucks. It's a terrible experience. And that's not what we're here for. So, yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Well, as many shop owners, brand owners, and farmers know, there's not a lot of outlets for insurance in the hemp and cannabis space. And the best policy you can have is accurate and reliable analytics, especially with Delta 8 products. So all I can do is tell you about our Delta 8 white paper that New Bloom Labs recently published that talks about the good things that we do at New Bloom Labs for testing Delta 8 and talking about clear resolution and chromatography and peaks and valleys in between your Delta 8 and Delta 9 registered peaks in the chromatography. And we do it well. We resolve Delta 8, Delta 9, the two stereoisomers of Delta 10 as RD10 and SD10. And because of this ping pong match of Delta 8 regulation that's been going on in Texas and in other states, the next natural progression was the emergence of THCO and THCP and other boutique cannabinoids, and I tasked my science staff with being able to resolve THCO and THCP, and we have recently added it to our assay of cannabinoids. We're up to 19 total cannabinoids, and one of the few labs in the country that give quantitative numbers on THCO, THCP, and clear numbers on Delta 8 and Delta 9. That's what we do well.
All right, so from a farming perspective in Texas, what is Delta 8? I mean, to me, as far as affecting my business, it hasn't really been much effect on me personally because I'm busy growing. You know, I think what it's important that Haley pointed out is the difference between Delta 8 and Delta 9. The fact that I'm even saying Delta 9 right now to y'all makes me feel funny. It's just called THC, right? THC has been naturally occurring in cannabis forever. If you study it, it's Delta 9, okay? They created Delta 8 along the way, and that's cool and that's fun. But, you know, where we are today, me personally as a farmer, I'm super excited about growing something boutique that I can put into an edible, and I can put 5 milligrams of THC in. I mean, I don't add 5 milligrams. What I do is I take a full spectrum oil, and I reduce it to the point that there's a naturally occurring 5 milligrams, and there's 25 milligrams of CBD. And then I put 5% terpenes back in there. So I just have a genuine gummy out of old-fashioned cannabis. So for me personally, as a farmer, I'm excited right now that we're starting to look back in the direction of a naturally derived old-fashioned THC. That's just my perspective. So that's good for me.
So real quick, what we'll do is we'll get to some question and answers, and then we'll follow up with some more questions up here. So if you do have a question, please raise your hand, and I'll call on
It'll
it.
be posted below, and yeah, thank you so much. We'll be going live again later today. Moody is going to be speaking, so yes, so Moody is going to be speaking, so we'll talk about that, and you can hear what he says. So yeah, so we're excited. Stay tuned, and that's all I can think of right now. Yeah, so stay tuned. I'll talk to you later. Bye.